All right, everybody, we got a space-age car and an all-star cast. Let's get to it. Okay, everybody, we're going back to look at a little bit of a forgotten gem, a little bit of an overlooked treasure, and that is 1986's Black Moon Rising. But before we go any further, once again, and as always, to the trailer.
Meet Sam Quint. When the government has a job they can't handle, they get him.
You are a thief.
Hell yes.
His specialty is getting in.
What makes you think I'd help you?
You have an honest face.
Getting out.
You got no help, no nothing. You got 3 days.
And getting away with it.
What exactly do you expect me to do for you?
Not a thing.
You know this man?
No.
But this time the rules are different.
I'm gonna take all the heat that comes down on my head. I'm gonna transfer it to your body.
The stakes are higher.
You betrayed me.
I only wish I had.
Because stealing from Sam Quint is the biggest mistake you can make. Now he's going in. After her. After them. After the Black Moon.
The game is over.
I wish there were a couple of ways we could do this.
There's only one way.
Tommy Lee Jones. Linda Hamilton. Bubba Smith. Robert Vaughn. From the mind of John Carpenter. Black Moon Rising.
Okay, everybody, this motion picture was directed by Harley Cokliss, who's actually credited in this motion picture as Harley Cokliss. Anyway, he was around, directed some stuff. Nothing major, but a few things you'll recognize. He did The Legendary Journeys of Hercules. He did Xena Warrior Princess and CSI and the Immortals and the New Adventures of Robin Hood. And on the big screen, he did Malone with Burt Reynolds. So, he was out and about. You know, he doesn't have a big resume, nothing great, but he was out there doing his thing. Let's keep it kicking. Okay, everybody, this motion picture has a shitload of people in it that all need to be mentioned, so I'm going to be flying really fucking quick so we can get everybody in. Anyway, playing Quint, Tommy Lee Jones. What more do you need to know than that? What more do you need to know than that? We're talking about he was in stuff like The Betsy, and The Eyes of Laura Mars, and JFK, and Coal Miner's Daughter, and Under Siege, and Men in Black, and Space Cowboys, and No Country for Old Men. And he was in a forgotten little movie called Blown Away, which is really ironic because I own the t-shirt from that movie, and it just says Police Bomb Squad Unit on the front and Blown Away in the back. And numerous times people used to ask me, do you work for the Police Bomb Squad Unit? I'm like, no. Whatever, let's keep going. Okay, playing Nina, Linda Hamilton. What more do you need to say? She was in stuff like Terminator, and Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and Children of the Corn, and Dante's Peak, and King Kong Lives. Notice I didn't bring up Terminator Dark Fate, that thing fucking sucked, and I don't want to talk about it. And she was in a movie called Tag, The Assassination Game, which was really crazy. It was about a bunch of fucking people in school, and they would have this like little group where you had to pull names, and then you had to bump off your fellow students playfully, you know what I mean, with like little suction cup guns and stuff like that, whatever. Anyway, they actually had a club like that in my school way back in the 80s. They actually, could you imagine that shit today? That shit wouldn't float. Okay, playing Ryland. We're talking semi-royalty here, people. Semi-royalty. Robert Vaughn. The list is long. Let's kick it in. Of course, he was in stuff like Bullet, and The Magnificent Seven, and The Towering Inferno, And he was in S.O.B., that forgotten comedy, and Hangar 18. And of course, he's always going to be remembered as the man from U.N.C.L.E. And he was also the voice of Proteus in Demon Seed. Anybody remember that? Okay, playing Earl. Richard Jaeckel. Long career, people. A lot of shit. We're talking about he was in stuff like The Dirty Dozen, and Grizzly, and Herbie Goes Bananas, and Airplane 2, and Starman, and Pat Garrett, and Billy the Kid. And he was on everything on TV from, like, fucking Bonanza to Little House on the Prairie. So, big career, long career, bunch of shit. Let's keep moving. Playing Ringer was Lee Ving. This is an interesting case. Yes, he was in stuff like Streets of Fire and Flashdance and Clue. But really, he was always known to everybody like me or something like that as the front man of the band Fear, that punk band from way long ago, Fear. Anyway, that's what I'll always know him to. And Streets of Fire, because, let's face it, he popped up in there and fucking is what it is. Kate Blaine Johnson was Bubba Smith. Remember big motherfucking Bubba Smith? Anyway, we know where he was. He was in all those Police Academy movies, like 1 through 73. And he was on TV and shit, like, 8 is Enough, and Taxi, and Good Times, and BJ and the Bear. And he had a huge, like, professional football career. I couldn't tell you the teams. I don't watch football. I'm not a big sports guy. I'm a boxing fanatic, music and movies. That's about it. So, I don't know anything about football, baseball, basketball, any of that shit. Whatever. But he was big in football, from what I understand. Is what it is. Okay, playing Billy was Dan Shor. Not a massive a lot of credits. Not a massive a lot of a career. But some things you're going to remember. Obviously, he was in Tron, and he was in Strange Behavior, and Solar Crisis, and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And he popped up on TV, Cagney and Lacey, and The X-Files, and Star Trek Voyager. So, out and about, he's not going to jump out at you the minute you see him, but fucking he was in some shit, it is what it is. Okay, playing Tyke was William Sanderson. Oh, man, he's one of those fucking dudes I love in movies. You know what I mean? Everybody knows the face, but not everybody knows the name. Anyway, he was in stuff like Death Hunt, and Lone Wolf McQuaid, and Fletch, and TV, man, like, Deadwood, and True Blood, and Coach, and Lonesome Dove. But to me, he's always going to be J.F. Sebastian. From Blade Runner. And, hi, I'm Larry. My brother Daryl. My other brother Daryl. From Newhart. Come on, that fucking shit was awesome. We all loved it, just the way it was. Let's keep going. Lastly, playing Iron John, we got Keenan Wynn. He's already been in a couple movies I've reviewed, folks. Let's hit it. He was in Orca, which I did way back in the day. And he was in Piranha, and Dr. Strangelove, and Wavelength, and The Shaggy DA, in The Devil's Reign, and he was in a little low-budget real shit flick called The Dark, and actually Richard Jaeckel was in that too. I don't know if I said that or not, but he was in that fucking movie too. Classic shit. Love that shit. Anyway, we better get going to the story. Okay, everybody, once and again, and as always, I'm going to try to do this in 90 seconds or less to keep it entertaining, fast, so we can all get to the goddamn summary, which is where we'd really rather be. Anyway, story is as such. You got Tommy Lee Jones, Quint. He steals things. That's what he does for a living, but he does it for the government. And he's out there on a mission to steal something, and he steals it, but he's being tracked down by the very people he stole it from. So, he's at a truck stop, he's at a rest stop, a gas station, call it whatever the fuck you want, and he takes it and he hides it in the back of this car, these people getting gas. And this car is a future age car. It's a space age car. It runs on water. It goes 400 miles an hour. Its name is the Black Moon. Anyway, long story short, the car takes off. He takes off in a different direction. The government wants their goddamn tape back, and the one that they hired him to steal. So now he has to go get it from that car. And just when he's about to get it back from the car, what happens? Linda Hamilton, Nina, comes along. Nina works for this giant corporation of car thieves. And she's there, and she rips off that car and about 20 others, and they load them into trailers, and they take them away. He goes into chase, pursuit, and he follows, and he sees where it leads. Well, one thing leads to another, and he kind of winds up hooking up with the Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor herself, in a different movie. Anyway, And the two of them, through happenstance, kind of work at getting that car back, getting that tape back, and walking off into the sunset together. Obviously, there's more to it than that, but that's all I want to give you. That's all you really need for the premise to get you going through this motion picture. Okay, everybody, does this motion picture work? Yes, it does, despite some shortcomings. The first thing you're going to realize about this motion picture is it fits in perfectly with the ilk of its day. I'm talking about if you wanted to hang out in your room one night and just put in a triple header, you could easily take this and then put in Runaway and then top it off with a little Blue Thunder, and it would work perfectly. It fits in so well in that genre of film. This thing embodies the 80s techno action thriller 110%. Now, yeah, there's going to be problems with a motion picture like this. Probably sums up why it wasn't a masterpiece that knocked everybody out the park. There was a few problems, and I'm not going to deny them. At moments, the directing looks a little bit TV-ish. I'm not going to kid you. It just does. The soundtrack, although good, feels like they just took it right out of Blue Thunder, changed a note or two, and heaved it into this motion picture. The chase scenes, yes. There's moments when you can tell they blatantly just sped up the camera and just made it look like these cars were going quicker than they were. And lastly, there's moments in this motion picture where things happen and you can't understand how they just got from that scene to the next, or you feel like they pulled a scene out of the movie and you're like, he was just being chased. How did he get away in a car that wasn't running no more, and now he's just sitting in the bar having a drink? But all that being said, this motion picture is still entertaining. This motion picture is still a fun ride. It's still got a great cast to carry it over the finish line, and it is still more than worthy of a watch. And I think one of the things that makes it work is one of the things that makes a couple little gaffes, like I mentioned before, take place. They wanted this motion picture to be paced right and to move along quickly and not fuck around and keep you entertained, plot point, entertained, plot point, entertained, like that. You know what I mean? Action, scene, just to keep this thing moving at a good, even pace. And it does. It flows along at a good, even pace, and it keeps you sitting there watching it the whole time. And that's why I think they probably pulled a little bit of this and a little bit of that out of the original draft of this thing that made you scratch your head. But it made the pacing better. Something's good, something's bad. For every yin, there's a yang, and this movie has several of them. But just because of those things, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't watch it and give it a shot. Black Moon Rising is actually a little teeny forgotten gem. Not a masterpiece that's been overlooked, but a little teeny forgotten gem that seems to have just fallen out of the American consciousness and into the waste bin somewhere. And that's, I think, a lot harsher than this motion picture deserves. It deserves a chance. It deserves to be watched. If you can sit there and watch RoboCop and all that kind of shit, then you can easily sit down and watch Black Moon Rising and have just as much fun. You know what I'm saying? It's right in there with that pack. It's right in there with that group. And if this thing has flaws, we all know those things had flaws and we overlooked them. So why be too harsh and too critical? Just go with the flow, enjoy it, relax, like it. Goddamn, Linda Hamilton goes topless in it. And Tommy Lee Jones can make any motion picture seem plausible and down to earth and realistic. Come on, everybody loves Tommy Lee Jones, man. He's the every guy. You know that guy that's like fucking 28 years old, but yet he looks like he's 48 his whole life, and like life just took a shit on him, and somehow he perseveres? He's our guy, Tommy Lee Jones. And a little side note, the story to this thing was actually written and conceived by John Carpenter. He didn't do the screenplay, he didn't do all the shit, but this is one of the things that he wrote, and it was in his little bag that he never got around to, or they didn't want him to direct, or whatever the fuck the case might have been. And it got turned over to somebody else, and they made the motion picture. I still think it would have been really fun and really incredible to see if a motion picture like this, with a guy like JC behind the camera, what he could have done with it. You know what I mean? You've seen what he did with things like Escape from New York, or what he did with things like, Prince of Darkness, or something that had that little bit of an off vibe, where it was just a little bit eerie. And I think he could have added some more of that to this motion picture than what it had and made it better. But as it is, and as it stands, it's still fun. You should still check it out, and you should still give it a chance. Okay, everybody, as always, and once again, it's been awesome. Be good. Take care. Go watch Black Moon Rising. take care of a neighbor, be nice to a stranger, and above all else, never, ever, 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 ever take any bullshit from anybody. See you soon. Be good.